I definitely say my passions are a little bit all over the place. I'm such a fanatic for being able to sit down and read a book. My favorite thing is reading a book with a cup of tea. I love being in nature, whether it's hiking or skiing or just adventuring. It's just really nice to have that access right away in Canada. But for me, I think what it comes down to is just really being able to storytell. Every person has such a cool story. And I love just being able to sit down with someone over a cup of coffee and learn about who they are without judgment and just go, you know what, I never thought about something this way. Or, you know what, I don't understand it, but I'm open to learning more about it. I grew up on half an acre of land in the middle of a city. We had a barn, we had a 100-year-old apple and pear orchard. It was a 100-meter backyard, so we would run around with about 6 different neighbor kids and we'd rip around the yards. We would literally tap our maple tree in our backyard to have fresh maple syrup. I had the perfect childhood. My dad traveled about, I'd say like 80% of my childhood. So my mom ran the house and she would do anything and everything from telling us our dad was a spy because he traveled so much just to keep herself entertained. She would dye our pancakes green with food coloring just to keep things interesting. And we joked about trying new foods on Thursday. So my mom called it poison night. And we accidentally let it slip to our elementary school teachers that my mom was poisoning us as a joke. So we had a lot of concerned parents making sure that their children weren't being poisoned at our house for Thursday night dinners. But when I was 13, I was in grade 8 in Markham, Ontario. And if you are born and raised in Ontario, you know you get a Quebec trip when you were in grade 8, because most people graduate in grade 8 going into high school. And my parents sat me down, I think about a week after my 13th birthday. And my brother goes, "Oh my God, Mom, am I gonna have a little brother?" And my mom goes, "No, we're moving across the country. Your dad got transferred." So I ended up moving to Calgary in the middle of January of 2008 in the middle of a winter storm. So it was minus 42 when I showed up from Calgary. I literally got off the plane. I looked at my parents and I went, "I hate you. Why did you do this to me?" But it was the best decision they could have made possible, because honestly, Alberta is such a unique place. It really has that Western hospitality so many people talk about. But I'm literally 2 hours from the mountains. I live in a provincial park right in the middle of Calgary, and I literally get to be in nature every single day, and it's incredible. But moving to Calgary, it was a bit of a culture shock. I grew up in a very diverse part of Ontario. I grew up in Markham. And I was one of 3 white kids. Everyone and anyone was, every ethnicity you could imagine. We practiced Ramadan and Eid and Hanukkah. And my principal was a Quebecois Jewish woman who was strong as ever. And so when I moved to Calgary, my mom goes, "Taya, how was your first day?" And I looked at her, I'm like, "Mom, everyone's white. Like, what am I supposed to do?" I honestly didn't know what to do, because everyone was Christian and everyone was so similar in it. And it was very much a reverse culture shock, because I knew Canada as this United Nations epicenter. And then I moved to Calgary, where it predominantly is white and Christian when I moved here. And it was terrifying because I couldn't relate to anyone because I was so used to so many different cultures. But I find that the city's definitely evolved as time's gone on. It's a little bit more multicultural depending on where you are in the city, but having that upbringing and then experiencing the exact opposite in a way in Calgary, it was an eye-opener to what the rest of the world could be. But I had such a beautiful view on what Canada was. I was so grateful for it, because if we're all the same, it's a really boring life. But it also comes down to understanding that you need to be open as a human being and go, you know what, this person is different than me, but they could open my eyes to a new opportunity and really connect me to a different part of the world that I may not have access to. A person's opinion is such a valuable thing, and having access to that on such a global scale in such a small or big city in Canada, the world's literally at your fingertips. It's so beautiful. For me, what adversity comes down to is you never expect to face it because you never think it's going to happen to you. And for me, adversity is a situation that makes you grow as a person. And my mom has continuously said they don't call them growing pains for no reason. Growing hurts. Adversity is hard. They don't call it, "Why don't you sit down, have a piece of cake and enjoy life?" It's hard. But because of it, I think the adversity we face really teaches us about our strengths and weaknesses, and that determines the type of person we are moving forward in our life. And those adversities or those adverse situations make you realize how strong and resilient you are as a human being, but also those individual like little niches to go, oh, I'm such a unique person and I'm so special and I'm really one in a million. And I love that saying, because that adversity will carry you through life and shape you into the person you are. But I think the adversities I've faced was, I've had a couple. The first was a head injury when I was born. I'm lucky because I don't know a difference. I think I'm normal. I know I'm not normal, but I don't know what it's like to sustain a head injury halfway through my life and be able to acknowledge those differences and go, I think so differently now, or I can't retain information, or I can't walk. For me, it's, this is the situation I was given. What now? But it gave me that clarity to go, it's okay to acknowledge these weaknesses, but my strengths have overcome those weaknesses to make me who I am. And it comes back to that adversity question where you go, adversity makes us who we are. But it's having those rose-colored glasses at times to go, you know what, I am so blessed. I have such clarity and I am a strong, resilient person because of adversity. And for me, what it really, really comes down to is no one person's pain is more than another. It's all perspective. Everyone can feel pain, everyone can grow, but a strong person understands that that adversity and not having life as a piece of cake is what's going to make them an incredible human being and have an incredible story. I feel like no pageant girl really gets into pageantry on purpose. It's usually an opportunity presented to her, and for me what it was I was 16 and I went to my mom. I'm like, I want to get another job. And she goes, what are you talking about? She goes, you work a part-time job. You're a multi-sport athlete. You're in high school. Why do you want another job? And I said, I don't know. I just want another job. So she goes, well, you've always been asked to model and act. Why don't you give it a try? And I said, okay, well, let me do my research. Who do you suggest I go to? And so I was represented by Patty Faulkner in Calgary for, I guess it would have actually been 10 years this August, which is crazy. But I walked into her office at 16, fresh face. I think I had like a black tank top on and blue jeans, and she came running across the room. Imagine like Edna from The Incredibles, but blonde. And that was what my agent looked like. And she runs across the room and she goes, oh my God, you look like a Miss Universe. You're gonna be a pageant girl. And I'm 16 years old, no clue what she was talking about, stuck out my hand. I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, I'm Mattea. And it was probably the best decision I ever made. So I was modeling internationally. I had some contract offers, and she goes, you know what? You're such a pageant girl. Why don't you do Miss Teen Calgary? And it was the following March. So it had been 6 months later. And I ended up showing up in, I kid you not, oversized baggy sweatpants, no makeup, a bun, and a white t-shirt because I had been scrubbing toilets all morning because we were selling our house. And I had no idea what I'd gotten into, and I ended up winning. And I went to Tim Hortons and I had a radio interview the next morning, and they said, so we saw you at Tim Hortons with your crown and sash. Like, congrats on being Miss Teen Calgary. So that's kind of how I got into it. The girl who had crowned me, her name was Steph, and she was doing Miss Teenage Canada, which at the time was Miss Teen World Canada. So I saw her doing it and going, you know what, like, let's give it an honest go. Pageants were a really cool way to get involved in community, especially in Calgary, because we had the Calgary Stampede. We have something called the White Hat Awards, which really focuses on tourism and community. So I did that, and Michelle saw something in me and gave me a call. I was second year university. I was just 19, and she goes, do you want to represent Canada at Miss Teen Universe? And I said, well, how much is it going to cost? Because pageantry is not cheap. Oh, it's so expensive. And I had 18 days notice, so I flew to Nicaragua and I did my first international, and I was first runner-up, and I fell in love with it in such a different way. For Miss Intercontinental, what it really came down to was it actually got switched twice. So it was originally supposed to be in India first, then Sri Lanka, and then Egypt. And for me, Egypt is somewhere I've always been so curious about. And for Miss Intercontinental, it's all about the power of beauty. It was such an eye-opener. I'd never figured out how to do my makeup professionally, so I learned how to do my makeup because I was there for about 3 weeks. I had no idea what I was getting into, and international is a whole different ballgame. And so once I got a taste of those relationships and being an ambassador for your country, when the opportunity arose for Miss Earth Canada, I thought, why not? Like, what's the worst that could happen? And I ended up winning. So I was in the Philippines for 5 weeks this year. And it was, once again, an opportunity of a lifetime. I can tell you authentically, international pageants are the worst and best time of your life because you have no clue what's going on. There is no itinerary, no schedule. You get 3 hours of sleep a night. You are on point at all times. You can't misbehave. You can't be stupid. You can't say something stupid. But it's that reality check to go, it is such an incredible opportunity. Why wouldn't I take this and just run with it? And for Miss Earth Canada, I think it was such an important part to really focus on the importance of water conservation. In my opinion, World War III isn't going to be over miscommunication or politics. It's going to be over natural resources. We are the one country that has access to clean, sanitary water continuously, except for our Indigenous communities. But that's not spoken about. And if I could just really create that global conversation around conservation of water, that's all I really wanted to do. There are organizations that offer such beautiful resources, but people don't know about them. People don't think about the luxury of being able to fill up a water bottle, to take a bath, to have a shower, to brush your teeth without turning off the tap. And when I went to the Philippines for the first time, I was handed a bucket and a ladle. And they go, take a shower. And I'm going, what is this? Because I had that privilege and I didn't realize in my ignorance of how privileged I was to have access to fresh water. So I think international pageants come around for a specific reason in my life at a specific time, just like any other opportunity for any individual. So I can really bring such powerful messages to my audience because we actually have a 46% voter apathy in our generation, which means 46% of the kids that we know don't vote. And we are one of the few lucky countries, man, woman, doesn't matter who you love or what you identify as, you have that right to vote. So I think international pageants, and this is my tangent, come around in such a unique way in my life that I can bring such a stronger message internationally, but also to Canadians and go, you know what, hi, I'm Miss Canada. Let me tell you everything wrong and let's try to fix it because this is what I'm going to try to do for a year. So it's just such an incredible opportunity.